It's time now to review headlines on today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited Group Executive Director, Kayode Komolafe. Good morning, Mr. Komolafe.
Good morning,
Happy Sunday to you.
Good morning, Steve. Yeah.
Happy Sunday. Good to see you.
Same to you.
All right. Okay, so let's proceed with the newspaper review. And we'll start, of course, with This Day on Sunday, where the lead story says, police arrest electoral fraud evidence in Rivers. Free lawyers. Cole cries out to Buhari for intervention. MBA, Falano, Serap express outrage. On top of that lead story is the story about the interim government, a plot by APC DSS to subvert election tribunal, says PDP. And the riders challenges secret police to arrest politicians behind alleged plot. That's PDP still speaking. Vows to prove his case in tribunal. PDP suffering from post-election trauma, APC claims. And on top of that, a strip there, which is a story on page 5 of today's paper. APC awaits Tinubu's return before zoning National Assembly leadership. And on top of the masthead, senior journalist accuses Ononuga of insurrection against independent media. That's a story on page 6, KK, and I think that's from senior journalist Richard Akinola, whose statement has gone viral against the stance of Mr. Bayo Ononuga, one of the directors of media for the Tinubu APC presidential campaign. On top of that, which is on the window, federal government extends NUPRC's mini bid round deadline to July 28. And I think that we shouldn't leave this without looking at the cover picture, where you also appear, KK, paying last respect. Here we have the editor, This Day lawyer, Mrs. Onikepo Braithwaite, a senior journalist, Mrs. Modele Sharafa Yusuf, our own KK, founders of Stanbic Habitisa Bank PLC, and then our foundation, Mr. Atedo Peterside, and of course, chairman of This Day and Arise Media Group, Prince Nduka Obagbina, and anchor, Arise News Channel, Ms. Ruth Osime, during the funeral ceremony for Professor Beatrice Olabimpe Aboyade in Ibadan. Yesterday, we discussed Mrs. Aboyade last week, and of course, yesterday at 87, Nigeria's first PhD holder in English literature, who has now been committed to motherhood. Those are the stories, KK.
Yeah. Yeah. All that remains to be said about the front page picture is just to say, may the soul of Professor Bimpe Aboyade rest in peace.
Amen.
Yeah. It was a glorious departure. We were there in Ibadan at the weekend. Now, the front page, the lead story of This Day on Sunday,
Yes.
I think like the headline, aptly captures the story. It's really a matter, for outrage.
Yeah.
I think it is quite unacceptable. When immediately after the elections, I mean the suggestion of all rational people is that anybody who has any dispute, any party who feels cheated, any candidate who feels cheated should go to court. In Rivers State, the APC candidate, has told that party, to go to court. So it is outrageous that his lawyers, since then, have been having difficulties, to get the necessary documents, which they would need to prepare, for their case in court, and to add salt to the injury, that they were arrested, for whatever reason. It's a good thing, that following intervention, from various forces, they be released. But I understand that even the equipment, seized from these lawyers, have not been released. So it's important to draw the attention of the IG, to direct the River State command of the police to release the equipment of the lawyers promptly, and also that we should not have a repeat, of this. It's unacceptable that lawyers are not just only frustrated, in the course of performance of their duty, but they are even, being harassed, and being detained. The other story, like you said, which also should also interest us, the letter by Mr. Richard Akinola, a distinguished journalist, to his colleague and friend, another distinguished journalist, Mr. Bayo Ononuga. Now, the first thing to say is that I think in the letter he says he accused, Mr. Akinola accused Mr. Ononuga of insurrection against the media. When I read that, I said, insurrection? That is an extravagant claim, that you report.
Outlandish.
Not just outlandish, it's I mean, an hyperbole, it's very, very, an excessive, expression, to describe the situation. It's not an insurrection. Then the second thing to say as a preface is that Mr. Akinola, could also make his point without insulting his colleague, I think I find his letter, quite in bad taste.
You think it is?
Yeah, it's very, 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 very.
I thought his words were carefully chosen.
No, not carefully
outside
chosen.
of the insurrection word.
Yes, so when it's not carefully chosen when you say.
You only have an issue with the insurrection word.
Yes, when you say.
I'm saying that's not even the issue. I'm saying it's a needless word.
Yeah.
But in totality, if you look at
no, I'm not saying insurrection. I say insurrection. I'm not saying that it's not the insurrection that I say insulting. I say it is an extravagant claim.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, when you say a colleague, both Mr. Akinola and Mr. Ononuga have been colleagues and friends for more than 40 years.
He acknowledged it in the statement.
Both of them are my friends. They worked in the same office before they became colleagues. So because of you have a disagreement, and he said...
I'm just trying to say that...
You
found it insulting.
Let Mr. Steve land in the question I asked him, which you were trying to elaborate more on the fact that it was just the word insurrection that you found outlandish.
That's the word I would use, that I found outlandish.
Right.
I do not think that it contains in any way anything insulting. Of course, like I said, I feel that he chose his words very carefully. And you will see that, in my opinion, if you, without sentiments, dissect what he has written in that, statement, which has now gone viral. And it's basically saying that this is my friend. It's a gentleman. But I am surprised that he seems to have descended to a level where intolerance seems to characterize the things that he says, especially about the media. And he gave examples. Even of, Arise TV. And why you may want to appreciate that will be that didn't NBC see what Mr. Ononuga was complaining about until Mr. Ononuga wrote that piece, using the name of the president-elect to drive home the point that the president-elect, says that you must sanction the thing. He didn't even say investigate or take a look at it. It says sanction them. Barely 24 to 48 hours after that from Mr. Ononuga, NBC came with a 5 million naira slam on NBC. So people worry, and I think that's what Mr. Akinola is trying to point out, that you are being too harsh on your colleagues in the media, and that your position might be mistaken for being against free speech, which is the cornerstone of our profession, and that he reminds people of the Abacha days, when people were dealt with, without any fear. So that's what he's saying, that you have not even taken power yet.
Yes.
You are still president-elect, but then at any provocation, you call on the regulator to say, deal with that person. And he comes. That's what he's saying. Yes. I don't think that was insulting.
So if it's not insurrection, that would be the word that he should use. What would he use if it was not that? Would it
I don't want to play the role of an editor for...
I would like to know what your thoughts are in terms of Bayo Ononuga's, rhetoric.
I will say that it is intolerance against the media. It is intolerance against free speech. That's what I would say.
Okay, will you both now allow me to make a review?
Oh, yes.
You invited me to come and review this. But you have taken up the job of the reviewer.
No, we have a little bit of time.
I've only made a preparatory statement and you take it up. So,
We have a little
would
bit
you
of
now
time.
allow me now to make a review?
Yes.
Because it's something I'm interested in.
Yes. Because it also concerns our profession.
Exactly. And I'm the ombudsman of this group.
Absolutely.
It's a very important.
The floor is yours, Keke.
So please allow me now to make a review.
Absolutely.
I said, one, that for Mr. Akinola to say that what Mr. Bayo Onanuga did is insurrection, I say it is extravagant. And I said that he could also make his point without being insulting. Yeah. And I mean that, In that statement, he refers to Bayo Onanuga as being silly. A colleague that you respect, you don't say that his statement is silly. That is insulting. So if you don't consider it insulting, but that is just by way of preface. Let us go to the substantive issue.
Yeah.
What has Bayo Onanuga done? He has referred what was broadcast on channels
TV
to a regulatory body. So I'm saying that you see, yes, it is important for us, as media people, as people associated with media, especially, you give that to Mr. Akinola, his whole adult life has been in defense of free speech.
Absolutely.
Freedom of the press, yes. But while we do that, I think we should also go a little bit further. That we should also be critical of the press. Of the media. We should be critical of the media. It's not everything that is done, by the media that we should instinctively defend. There are certain things that are indefensible. For instance, the particular story, that I don't complain about. It's not something that is defensible. Freedom of expression does not include freedom, to make statements that can endanger the society. You express, you exercise your freedom of expression within legal, ethical, and social limits. Yes. There is no freedom that is so when you invite a guest, and he says something that can set the country ablaze,
yes,
that cannot be justified under freedom of expression, And the media people, the media, we have no business, defending that. Then just a clarification that it is not necessarily Mr. Onanuga's petition to NBC that perhaps caused the sanction imposed by NBC on that media organization. In fact, the NBC had already issued the sanction, which affected many media organizations, not only channels, 3 days before Mr. Onanuga's petition. But that is not the issue. Now the issue that I want to point out now is that, thank God.
Yorubas will say Ajekelano.
No, I don't get my point. I say NBC had already apprehended the issue and had already issued the sanction before Onanuga issued his own. Wrote his own letter, which I'm saying that there is nothing wrong in what Onanuga has done in reporting, because thank God, only last week. Now we have in place a national ombudsman. That is the National Media Complaints Commission.
Right.
Yes, no. The purpose we are collectively, due to the collective wisdom of the media, why it was put in place is because we know that media people, like any human setting, that mistakes are bound to be made. There are going to be instructions. There are going to be complaints on the people. It is because it is envisaged that there will be complaints. That is why the media itself has set it up. So if tomorrow somebody now reports a media house to the NMCC, that is the National Media Commission, would you call it an insurrection? Would you say it is against media freedom of expression? So what I'm saying is that I don't see the point, which Akinola is making. It is not intolerance. And again, we should the media should be very wary, of developing, an instinctive, negative response to their day of regulation, So any profession, any profession anywhere is subject to regulation. There is no profession that does not have a regulation. So the media people should not have this illusion that all in the name of freedom of expression that you can go on air and say whatever you like, or your newspaper and write whatever you like and do it, even when you are doing it, in a way that will endanger the society. So anybody who complains is because he believes that the body to which he's complaining about, will have a judicious view of it, which will mean that it will also that body will also have to look at the side of the party to whom the complaint is raised.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that we should put it in that context.
That's fine.
So like I said, the good news for me now is that the media, has been able to achieve something which to me is monumental, and that is that we have in place now the National Media Complaints Commission, which people will legitimately go into. And I want to see how anybody now will come and write a letter against anybody who takes any media organization, any newspaper or TV station to drags it before the NMCC.
If there are frivolous complaints,
let the commission decide. Let the commission. It is not you, the broadcaster. You cannot sit here. You cannot sit here as a broadcaster. And you make outrageous statements against the person, and the person complains against you, and then you now sit in judgment and decide whether it is frivolous. Let that commission decide whether it is frivolous or not.
But we also can't say somebody
I am saying that we should develop this way. We should not have this mentality of being anti-regulation. You get it now? Any human affair that is not regulated is anarchy. You get it now? When you remove regulation from human affairs, what you are having is a recipe for anarchy. You understand? So what I'm saying is that it is not for you. No, excuse me. What I'm saying is that it is not for you to decide whether it is frivolous, whether it is mischievous, whether it is insurrectional or whatever. Now let the person take the complaints before the media commission, and the media commission made up of distinguished professionals and eminent personalities, from various fields. They would now exercise their collective wisdom in deciding whether it is prejudice or is malice or whatever. That is it. That's the right thing to do. So I'm saying that Mr. Akinola's letter should be seen in that. He
has not written a letter against the regulator. He's just complaining about the style, which has become almost something of a pattern about his, from his friend and colleague, Mr. Bayo Onanuga. That's what he has done.
That is his view. That is his view. I told you that I concede to him. I concede to him. I know his background. Both Onanuga and Akinola are my friends. Yes. And I'm saying that you give it to Richard. His whole adult life. I've associated with him. He's been in defense of freedom.
He's not a frivolous person.
I've not said this.
No, I'm just saying that. His letter has a merit. That's why he has merit.
Just as Onanuga's letters also has merit. And I'm saying that you should not demonize Onanuga, for his own statement. Just as you should not demonize Akinola. That is the point.
Yeah. All right. We're all on the same page.
We're not on the same page,
What do you think we're saying differently?
We are not here.
Well, what are we saying differently now? What are we saying differently from what you've just said?
No, it's your own case. You don't see even any. You don't see the legitimacy of Onanuga's action, and that's why you're not in the same page. So I'm saying that both Akinola and Onanuga have acted legitimately.
So we are not free to air our opinions. We're not free to analyze topics. We're not.
I've not said that. No,
that's exactly what we've done.
Yes, and I say I concede it to you, but I'm just saying that I think differently. So just as you are free to hear your opinion, I'm free. That's what I'm saying. I'm just making that we are not on the same page.
Let's make good use of the ample time we have today, so that we can now look at a few other papers. Are we done with this?
Are we good with this?
Okay, so let's take a look at the
let's pull up this day's style, where we have 5 people on the cover. 1, 2, 3. Actually, 5 trendsetters changing the face of fashion. I cannot even comment on this topic any longer because these people all look very new to me, Steve, except for Dumebi Yama. She is a swimwear designer, and I've worked with her before. Okay, as well as Bayo Lawal. I cannot even remember these people. Then Pablo.
Who are they? Are they models or they are fashion entrepreneurs? Most of them are fashion
designers. They are all fashion. Okay. They say, within the past 10 years, the world has witnessed tremendous growth in the Nigerian fashion industry. The shift from relying solely on westernized elements in telling our fashion stories to incorporate indigenous designs and techniques has shed a spotlight on the Nigerian fashion scene, slowly pushing us towards becoming a major player in the global space. I mean, I believe that these 5 people have done pretty well for themselves, and that is why they are gracing the cover of This Day Style this weekend, this Sunday.
That's cool.
They also have a bunch of stories in there, as well as the year of Tony Elumeli. I believe there's an interview there of UBA chairman Tony Elumeli.
Just clocked 60, right?
He just turned 60. I believe there are some pictures from his birthday. Maybe not. I think this is just an interview of the man of many parts, a banker, oil and gas magnate, electricity sector leader, power dresser. I like that. Celebrated CEO, mentor, philanthropist, and Instagram sensation. We can't leave that out. Well, happy birthday to him, and congratulations to these 5 amazing designers on the cover. What did you say?
He likes to rock the limelight.
Yes,
that's fine. I mean, he's made a success, of his life. So let him flaunt it, let him enjoy it.
It's quite interesting to see that in our space at this point, where you see a banker CEO who's also a social media influencer. Yeah. Isn't that pretty cool? Yeah,
Great
pretty
dude.
cool.
All right.
So it's in order to say belated happy birthday to Tony. And also to commend This Day Style, for this deliberate approach, of promoting emerging stars.
Stars.
I
think it's really
that's worthy of
commendation. It just proves the growth of the fashion industry. If I can't recognize.
I think what is important is that Kanye, the editor of This Day Style, has been doing consistently well. So that's really a good one for me. Focusing on the right people, bringing
the cover
out
is always topical.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, let us move to Sunday Tribune, where there are a number of interesting stories. Starting with the lead, anti-party activities. APC wields the big stick, expels ex-NWC member, suspends party chairman in Bauchi, access Loretta Onoche in Delta. We've seen PDP do a similar thing, even though they reversed it. But APC is saying now that if you have engaged in anti-party activities, we will, take you out. On top of the masthead, there is corruption in INEC. That's Aduo. And why election in Nigeria cannot be violence-free. Oluwagoloye. Those are 2 important interviews inside the Tribune of today. Aduwo and Oluwagoloye, former minister. Ezendigbo lands in DSS custody over threat to bring IPOB into Lagos. Again, container force on Ojuelegba flyover causes traffic issue. I really don't understand why this keeps happening. It's totally unacceptable. Adeleke strikes development partnership with the US. That's on page 9. The governor of Osun State looks like he's settling down real quick, and from what people are saying about him, he's not doing too badly in his first 100 days. Nigerians will resist attempt to force interim government. That's ACF chairman. Those calling for ING, not Democrat, says ex-Postmaster General. And of course, we can't leave this KK without taking a look at the young man, enfant terrible of the Nigerian music industry. Resisting arrest, the headline says, more troubles for Portable to face trial for injuring policemen, 6 other charges. This is a young man that I have followed his short career. It's less than 2 years as a star. He's been there, for almost 10 years, but he didn't blow, as they say in that sector, until about November of 2021. But here he is. He has not done too badly for himself, but then he just can't keep out of trouble. And we saw, Oji focused on what's trending. We saw what happened about the Amababu.
I'm sorry,
I live
you called
in
him
the zoo.
You called him a star. I don't know what
they made a feast of him.
It was trending everywhere. We could not resist that. But you called him a star. He said he's a superstar and he's a celebrity. So he's not just an ordinary star.
He's correct. But what is important, KK, and I'm sure that you have a word on that, is that yes, a star or superstar or celeb, it may be, but then that does not shield you from the long hands of the law. And the fact that you worked for APC, as you claim, or for the president-elect, does not mean that you will behave anyhow to the police.
Yes.
You are not a baboon, except that's what you think you are, and you're not living in a zoo. He's in the cell now, I'm sure, until tomorrow, and he will be charged to court. There are 6 count charges. If he gets a good lawyer, and if there's merit in his case, maybe he will be out of it. But then to think that he can always, meander his way out of trouble just because he's a Zazu, I'm not too sure about that.
You have to tell me what Zazu means after the show.
Zazu.
Yes,
Zazuze.
Otuzize. I love it.
All right, KK.
So before we port to other stories, let's start with portable. I think I agree with you, but I think we should again put it within the context of the reign of impunity, this culture of impunity.
Yes.
So it's not only at the level of the governor or the level of a president or a minister or whatever. So it's permitting the whole society that you just believe that you could, because of whatever you think you are in your own corner, which you regard as a republic. Everybody regards its own as a republic where your word is the law. So I think it's all another ugly manifestation of the reign of the culture of impunity that we have.
Inibehe Effiong says he's a nightmare for lawyers.
For lawyers,
because of his behavior. I wonder how it's
even for managers, those who manage his activities.
That is why the lawyers should advise him that yes, you are a celebrity, you are larger than life, but you are within a legal ambit that you have to operate. So they need to.
Now the other story is larger than life yet, but let's give it to him.
But that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. Yeah, you may not see.
He says he's a superstar.
But he has to operate within the limits of the law.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The other story which I think we should quickly take is this.
The lead.
Even for the lead, the usual political story. The lead is this the very the falling trailer. I think it's a huge challenge for the transport authorities in Lagos State. Yes, because come perennial every day. You hear this story calling and then with. Blood, tears, and sorrow, lives lost, innocent road users, are endangered because of the fact that, the activities of some road users are not properly controlled. Because again, it calls again the question of regulation, the question of enforcement of the law. I think the proper regulatory measures, should be put in place to ensure that we put an end. To this, menace, this. I think it's a challenge, to the, and I don't want to. I don't think it is a problem that is insurmountable. It's not as if a solution cannot be devised. And possibly, if you go into the records, of the Lagos State Transport Ministry, you must have a lot of memos, a lot of panel reports. All that is required is the enforcement, so that you have safety on the road. For road users, and then check the reckless activities of some road users, As for the news story, it's like a PDP, like APC, this checking what the parties call the anti-party activities. But again, it brings in a larger. On a wider note, it all shows the whole thing about the relevance of political parties in this dispensation. And it's a huge irony. Yeah. You cannot go into election as an independent candidate. You need the platform of a party. No matter how huge your political stature is, And that is why Peter Obi, despite his huge political stature, he still has to go to find the party, as a platform, to stand. From what I've seen, especially in APC and PDP, that politicians, just see the party just as an instrument, just like a vehicle, that you know your way to power. You know the road, but you need the vehicle to convey you to power. So you just board the vehicle, and as soon as you get to power,
destination,
you reach your destination. You part ways, with the You know, essentially
with the vehicle.
With the vehicle. No attachment. You know, and that, it also had to do with parties being able to assert, what is called in political parlance party supremacy. In other words, to ensure discipline of members. Know, but you can only do that when people are members of a party as a result of the commonality of ideas. That there are certain ideas, that put together. There are certain things that they share in common beyond. Getting to power. Until you have that, you are going to continue to have this.
Just a few seconds. Let me just read through the Sunday Telegraph so our viewers can know the stories on that. Opposition, the lead story. How politicians, security agencies compromised polls. The writers there. Some Rex serves as moles, took oath to do master's bidding, says a source. INEC constitutes panel to investigate infractions. Erring governors, others should be prosecutors, says Ambassador Joe Keshi. On top of the lead story there, opposition, PDP, LP, NNPP may merge against APC, says sources. Say ex-ruling party damaged beyond repairs. Obi may be face of new party. PDP will bounce back, says Okwe Silize Ngodo. Then another story above the masthead there. Arrest, prosecute advocates of interim government, says the Arewa Consultative Forum. NUPRC extends deep offshore oil block bid round schedule. Then another story there. No widespread electoral violence in Lagos, says the Commissioner of Police. Lagos closes third mainland bridge for repairs. Again, marketers caution federal government over deregulation, subsidy removal. And finally, Christians mark Palm Sunday, begin Holy Week. Those are the stories on the Sunday Telegraph. I think it's just a whole body of all the stories that are making the headlines this week.
We have a few more seconds, KK. I think Ambassador Keshi,
since a few seconds, let me just end on a lighter note. And that's to now ask Oji this question.
Yes.
Would you say those who are calling for the arrest of the advocates of interim government, are they violating freedom of expression of the advocates of freedom of expression?
Absolutely not. I don't think they're violating any.
Of course, you wouldn't say so.
No. What I'm saying is that those who are calling for the arrest, who are calling for the arrest of advocates of interim government,
they are free to. That is, they are free to express that.
Is the proper thing to do.
No, I'm saying that. Those who are calling for the arrest, are they violating the freedom of expression of the advocates of interim government?
Again. No.
Those would be those would be, false equivalents.
Yes.
I don't think
that's not even the top of.
No way. Don't let us go there. Thank you, KK, again for a brilliant Sunday.
We'll talk after the show. I know where you're going.